Alright, YouTube, welcome back to the channel. So let's just get right into this video. I want to talk about how your presence and your absence is felt by people. So before we get started, there was a comment below in one of my videos talking about this specific thing. I believe the person who commented went by the name of Mr. Iron Mindset. And this was a really good question. He was talking about, like, say you quit your job or something, or like wherever you're at, like whenever you detach from that place, you leave. People easily notice a shift in the atmosphere about it. Like people go feel that you're not there. So the reason you have this presence about you is because since you are a person with a big personality, like everyone that's chosen is going to have a lot of energy. You may already know this about yourself, but you do have a lot of energy about you. You're just a vibrant type of person. So wherever you go, you just bring life to situations. You just naturally bring life everywhere. This is why you've probably seen people like kind of low energy and everything, and then you come around and all of a sudden like people are more talkative. People start to speak more. Like everything just becomes more lively out of nowhere. And it's not a coincidence. It's your presence that does this. You have a really noticeable presence. It's really strong. It's felt by people. You just like energize people, right? And since you do this, whenever you leave, your absence is felt as well. It goes from really energetic and like really fun because that's your personality. It makes people feel alive, right? So once you leave, it goes back to normal, and like the people might think like the air, the atmosphere just feels kind of like too quiet, or like it starts feeling dead. It feels boring or something. So people could easily notice that about you. And this is what makes people like want to be around you a lot. Like people just like want to just be around your area and everything because this is what you do. You just bring a lot of life to everywhere you go. And this comes from God because that's your spirit. You have the spirit of God. God is life, right? God is love. God is life. God is everything. He's the creator of the universe, right? And that spirit is going to be really vibrant. So whenever you're with people, they start to feel good about themselves, right? Because you're like empathetic. You're probably non-judgmental. You just have a lot of energy. You're not really judging anybody. You're you're just at a place to have fun. Like you're not really trying to compete with anybody. You're not trying to like care what anyone's doing in a good way. Like you're probably the type of person who doesn't really look at what other people are doing, right? Like you couldn't care less what other people are doing. But in a good way though. It's not that you don't care about people, it's just you're not the person to look into other people's lives and be like, "Oh, what are they doing?" Like in a weird way. So you don't do that. So whenever you come around, like people just get energized because they could tell you're not really judging them. You're not really expecting anything out of them. So like they're free to be themselves. So like their energy goes up. And since you have a lot of energy to yourself, so you're just a vibrant person, it's like contagious. So people start to feel really good. So as soon as you leave, your presence leaves with you, right? It doesn't linger. So once you leave, they could feel that like, oh, he's not here or she's not here. Like something's different about it. So you've probably had people ask you to like you get invited a lot, right? Like you'll get people asking you just to come join, be like, hey, can you come over here and just come chill? And like when you say no, they don't tell you, but they're like, man, I wish this person was here, right? It's just the energy that you bring. It's because of your spirit. But just like everything has a good side and a bad side, this is the same thing. So because you're this way, this is what causes a lot of people to hate on you, right? Because they get jealous about it. They're like, why does this person always get attention? Like, what is this person doing to get this much attention without like trying, right? And you don't do anything to get attention. You just like naturally draw attention to yourself. It's just who you are, right? You're like a natural leader because that's what God called you to be. Every natural leader just has like a presence about them. Like people just notice, like they'll see and their eyes will directly go to you out of all people. And you've probably seen that before too. No matter where you're going, like all of a sudden, like many people are just like looking at you. And you're like, what's everyone staring at me for? And this is why I talked to one of my older videos where I said the highly gifted usually suffer correlated to their gifts, right? So if you're someone who's like a natural leader, you know that you get a lot of attention on you just naturally, right? But because you get a lot of attention on you, you can suffer with like anxiety and everything because you're like, oh, where are all these people looking at me? Like you start to get nervous because you don't know the type of power that you have, right? And you're a naturally powerful person as well because you carry that spirit of God who is the most high, who's the most powerful. You have that type of power about you. You just have strength. And your presence is kind of like authoritative in a way, but at the same time it's really like loving and like graceful. It's both. It's a really like commanding presence, but it's not a judgmental presence either. That's what makes people like feel your presence. Is they're like, who's this person? Like you could just stand tall by yourself and everything. You just have a lot of strength by yourself, and people could feel that. They're like, who's this person? Like, why am I like drawn to this person for? Like, why do I want to talk to this person? Right? Because it's all a spiritual thing. They could sense that type of power that you have. Like you have like an internal type of power. It comes from God. You just have an really high inner strength. So as soon as you leave people, places, or things or whatever, your absence is going to be felt strongly. Like the atmosphere is just going to get really quiet and like dull as soon as you leave. It's gonna become kind of just non-lively, and people feel that. This is why people want to like be around you. They're gonna be like, man, if you don't come here, it's gonna be boring, right? Like you probably had people tell you that. They're like, if you don't come here, like this isn't gonna be that cool. Like you need to come here, right? Because you're the type of person, you just bring energy everywhere. But you got to be careful who you share it with, right? Because a lot of people are going to try to drain you. They're going to try to drain your spirit. They're going to try to put you down. This is where your discernment comes. Because if you do share yourself with a lot of people and like speak and like be like the strong, kind, loving person that you are, if you share with the wrong people, they're going to hurt you, right? Like don't throw pearls to dogs, right? Because they're going to tear you apart. This is what you have to be really careful about. This is why you can't speak to just anyone. And if you're watching this video, you probably already know how to discern really strongly with people. So like if you see a certain type of person and you discern who they are, and then you'll see someone that looks kind of like sketchy or like manipulative or like wicked and everything, you're not going to speak to them. Because if you speak to them, right, like something's going to go wrong. They're going to they're going to try to like do something or like say something about you, or just like try to drain you or like put you down, or like they're going to try to like find a weakness about you or something, just anything to kind of put you down, right? That's how it's going to be for you. But just know that your presence and your absence is always felt by other people. It's always been felt ever since you're young. It's always going to be that way. It's just who you are, right? You're a naturally authentic person. You naturally have a big personality. You don't really like perfectly fit in anywhere. You're always like noticed. And this goes way deeper than like superficial things, as I always talk about. Like it's not just like the way you look, the way you dress. It's all like a spiritual thing. It's just felt. Your presence is felt. It's like a different type of feeling people get when they go around you. That's why they can't really like put their hands, like they can't wrap their head around it. They're like, who is this person? Like I can't read this person, right? You're probably a person that people have been like curious about you just like for no reason. It could be like a stranger or something, and someone will just look at you and like want to speak to you, and like you can just tell like the look in their eye that they're curious about you. It's all because of that presence that you have. You don't look like you don't operate like normal people. And I say quotation marks normal people because people are used to a lot of people acting similar, just like in society, like speaking about similar things, acting similarly in situations, talking about the same things, having the same type of like energy about them and everything, the same type of mood and everything. Whenever you come around, it's always unique. It's just something's just unique. So that's why you're easily noticed. You just bring a high amount of life everywhere you go. You just bring nothing but life, right? Because you're not the person to speak death. Because life and death is in the power of the tongue. So you know this. So you know you always speak life into situations and people and everything. That's what makes you so powerful, because you have the power to easily like energize someone. You have the power to easily help people with whatever they're dealing with and everything. You just discern through it really fast because you have a high intelligence and you're a spiritual person, so you can just read through things really easily. So you're able to connect with people on a whole different level. You could like connect with them like super super hard. You could connect with them in like a level that's way different than they've ever had before. Like they'll talk to you and they'll be like, wait, how does this person like kind of like know me already, right? Like you've probably had that happen to you. Like you've spoken to people and like the words that come out of your mouth are like incredibly like accurate or something, to where the person might think you're like reading their mind or something. They're like, wait, how'd they even say that? Like how'd they even know that? How do they know how I'm feeling? How do they know kind of like what I'm thinking in a way? Because you're highly intuitive. You could easily tell like kind of what somebody's about to do, or like what they're going to say. You get like a feeling about it. And people know this, so whenever you come around, it's never going to be like a boring thing with you. They know that you're going to like bring something different. You're just always going to bring something different. But they can't wrap their head around it. They're like, how does this person like know these things or whatever? Or like, how does this person do that? How'd they even figure out that I was doing this or like feeling this way? I never said it or anything. Like you just know these things, right? It's all a spiritual thing. It's just how you are. So whenever you leave a place or like a person, as soon as you leave, the person that you talk to or like the people that were there, they'll think about the conversation. They'll be like, wait, how'd they even like know that? Like I've never heard someone say that. Like they'll say to themselves, they'll be like, I've never heard anyone say this in a conversation before. Like how'd this person even do that? So you naturally bring out like a curiosity in people. You just have this type of effect on other people. You're easily like remembered. You just have a powerful effect, right? And yeah, but this just shows how powerful you are. So if you're watching this video and you resonate with this video, and this video is for you, you just have a lot of power, right? But God doesn't want you to like abuse your power. He wants you to use those gifts for good. This is why if you ever do try to use your gifts for evil, you get corrected really quickly. You see through it and you're like, okay, I can't be doing that. Like that's wrong, right? You get disciplined really quick because you're not made to use those for evil. Evil, you're made to use it for good, right? Like if you have really high discernment, you gotta use it for good to like help others, because you could easily use discernment for evil as well, right? But you're not that type of person. Just like you could easily use connecting with people for evil, but you don't. You use it for good. It could go both ways, but because you're of God, you're gonna use those gifts how God intended them, not evil, right? But yeah, that's pretty much the end of this video. Just know that your presence is always felt by people and your absence is always felt by people. You're always going to shift the atmosphere. When you enter an area, the atmosphere changes. As soon as you leave, the atmosphere changes again. It goes back to what it was before you weren't there, right? You just naturally change up things. You kind of like shake things up every time. Like whenever you're there and whenever you're not there, you just shake environments up just by being you, just how you are. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Of course, don't forget to like, don't forget to comment. And if you're not subscribed already, don't forget to subscribe. All right, God bless you guys, and I'll see you in the next video.